Our tale begins at least in 1702, where Lord Asano Nagakori, no, sorry, I fucked up the name right away, Asano Naganori, gets invited to the imperial court. And one of the problems is that he's supposed to host, along with another guy, they are supposed to host this reception, do this whole thing. There's one of the shogun's official, this guy by the name of Kira Yoshinaka, demands bribe to instruct Asano as well as another guy in proper court etiquette on how to handle the preparation for this ceremony that they are going to have with high officials and everything else. Asano either refuses to give the money, or other versions of the tale say that the gifts that he gives don't satisfy Kira. And so Kira kept provoking him into eventually trying to get him to draw his sword into the shogun's palace, because if you draw a weapon inside the palace, that's a death penalty offense right away. Eventually he succeeds, Asano loses it, and pulls out a dagger, wounds Kira in the process, doesn't kill him, wounds him. For this, he's immediately given a suicide notice, meaning, out of respect for your rank, you're going to be allowed to take your own life as opposed to being executed, but you're done. Your family is ruined. Your estate will be confiscated. And say goodbye to this life. So stick a nice short sword in your stomach, dig left and right, which, by the way, if we want to get technical, the term harakiri is considered vulgar in Japanese because it's like belly slicing, is like a bad slang, whereas the proper term is seppuku. But in any case, so story goes that what happens is everybody expects some of Asano's samurais to try to take revenge. And what happens instead is that they all go for their separate life, now trying to figure out what the hell they are going to do with their life, because they no longer have a lord who pay them. Being a masterless samurai sucks because there's no money, so what happens is you become a Ronin. Ronins is the term for a masterless samurai, which, unlike the romanticism that we have as a sort of the legend of the Ronin, the reality of being a Ronin sucked, because you're essentially an unemployed samurai, and you don't exactly have too many job skills other than chopping people's head off. So, you need to find somebody who will pay you for it. If you are a masterless samurai, you're starving, essentially. So, some of these guys, they decide to pick up a bunch of other random jobs to survive in the meantime, and try to make it look like they don't care. So Kira, the shogun's official, sends spies constantly keeping a tab on every one of them to see what they are doing, to see if they are planning something in order to stop them. His palace is very much protected. And 2 years go by, or nearly 2 years, where what happens is that this group of 47 out of Asano's samurai get together in secret and swear an oath of revenge. And with full knowledge that they'll probably, even if successful, they'll all have to die. But they swear this oath of revenge, but they want to make sure to kill Kira. They don't want to just make a point of we are doing out of honor, and they want to make sure to kill the guy. They want to be successful. So they're going to go about it in a slow, methodical way, which is highly criticized, by the way. There's the author of the Hagakure, who is one of the classic books of the Bushido Code of the Samurai, will hammer on these guys later on in writing by saying, that's dishonorable. If these guys had any honor, they would have, who cares about success or failure? They should have gone after Kira right then and there immediately, and if they failed, they failed, but that's an honorable thing. All this calculating bullshit to try to get to kill Kira is undignified of a samurai. Makes for good revenge, but it's not Bushido. Come on, man, relax a little, okay?
There's always somebody that complains about the guerrilla tactics.
Yeah, it's just like...
They're awfully effective.
And I see his point. I mean, granted, there's something about not being overly calculating, but there's also something very satisfying about getting the job done. And that's the route that Asano's samurai decide to take. They know that Kira's palace is too heavily guarded right then and there out of fear of an attack, and so they know that they have to bring the security level down if they want to be successful. So for a long time, this group of Ronin, they disband, act as if they are just going on with their lives to throw off Kira's spies. Their leader, a guy by the name of Oishi, divorced his wife of 20 years in order to avoid troubles for her once he will go through with the whole thing. He sent his younger son with her, whereas he then asked his older son, Chikara, who was 15 years old, whether he wants to go with his mom or he wants to fight with his father. He decided to be one of them, so he'll be one of the 47 Ronin. And after a while, Kira relaxes his guard, thinking that these guys are just dishonorable samurai who are unwilling to avenge their lord, and he has nothing to worry about it. Bad idea. Because January 1703, during a heavy snowstorm, the 47 Ronin gathered to... In the meantime, by the way, they have gone full out. Like, Oishi would get drunk all the time, make it look like act in very non-samurai fashion in order to reinforce this feeling that this guy was useless. There was nothing to worry from him. In 1703, during a heavy snowstorm, the 47 guys get together and attack the castle. They managed to kill a whole 18 of Kira's own samurai and defeat the guards. Oishi had given order to kill no innocent people, so none of the women, none of the people who had no weapons, and only those who stood in the way of getting Kira. One of the 47 had been sent to carry news that the revenge was successful, so there would be one guy less there. What happens is that they are successful. They eventually find Kira hiding away somewhere. They offer him a choice out of respect for his rank to kill himself on the spot. Kira is such a wimp that he can bring himself up over and over again, so eventually Oishi cut off his head with the very same dagger that his master Lord Asano had used to commit seppuku. At that point, they march off to the temple where their Asano's grave was located, and they leave Kira's head as an offering on the grave. At that point, the response of the population from this story that happened, the remaining 46 Ronin, minus the guy who went to carry messages, turned themselves in, and the population is begging the shogun to forgive them, to just say mercy, let them go. But the shogun really can't. He can't really cut some slack to some people who kill one of his officials like that, despite the fact, he argues the motives were honorable, loyalty to their master, revenge, all of that, but, sorry, I can make exception. What I can do, however, is not execute them like random criminals. I'll give them the choice to die an honorable death through ritual suicide. So they will not be executed, but they still need to die. So the remaining 46 Ronin, including Oishi's son, who by now was 16, they all perform seppuku, take their own life by their own sword. Eventually, by the way, the 47th guy will be pardoned once they track him down, because long time has gone by, so by that point nobody cares anymore. So the 47th guy will live until old age, but the other 46 all commit ritual suicide. They are all buried in the temple right next to their lord. There's an interesting tale about a guy who had run into Oishi when Oishi was playing his cover act of being a drunkard, of just womanizing, of not caring about anything. And this dude had insulted Oishi, saying, "You're a coward, how dare you, you dishonor the memory of your master." And Oishi had taken it, right, had just accepted it all and went with it. Once all the story came out, after Oishi, along with the other guys, killed himself, this man showed up on Oishi's grave, begged for forgiveness, and he committed seppuku and killing himself out of the dishonor of the whole thing. These guys really were into ritual suicide, in case you guys haven't gotten this so far.
Now, when the 46 did themselves in, were they all in one area?
As far as I know.
So it was like a big field or something, and everybody picked a nice spot, and see you fellas later?
And by the way, in case you're wondering, when the whole ritual suicide is not done by one person, there are two people. There's the guy who you stick in a sword in your... Actually, it's not even a sword, it's a big knife, essentially. It's a short sword that you stick in your own stomach and twist and turn. Because it's a horrendously excruciating death, what happens is that you have a trusted guy, usually a close friend, who's right behind you, And when they see the first signs that you're losing it in terms of, the pain is too much, and, Japanese being Japanese, they're very worried about decor. So if your face is getting too twisted or something and you're going to die with a unseemly expression on your face, your sweet friend behind you is going to chop your head off with a samurai sword. So it's suicide to a point. I mean, you start it, but you really die by the other guy cutting your head off.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, and that's why there was a famous writer, Yukio Mishima, who in the 1900s did the same thing, did this ritual suicide, and had one of his guys act as the guy was supposed to chop his head off, except that this guy wasn't very good at it and so ended up cutting in his shoulder instead, and like...
How did his face look then?
Yeah, exactly. But
shit.
That was not the problem for the 47 Ronin, because these guys were good at it, and they took care of business, and they 46 heads were rolled on the floor, and the whole deal. And this revenge act rehabilitated the whole clan. So all the remaining samurai, because there were way more than 47, all the other ones actually could find jobs again, because now they were seen as honorable, even... Like the whole clan had been rehabilitated through the act of these guys, so it actually paid off in that sense. And that's the tale of the 47 Ronin, which is one of the most famous myths. I mean, it may be true historically, maybe not. Nobody knows exactly how historical or not it is. As a mythology, is huge. It's like one of the primary Japanese stories that you see repeated. They made like gazillion movies about it. Written fictional accounts, 3 million. There's really so much material about this stuff, and it's quite a tale. And again, the movie coming out. Oh, you're going there.
No, in time for Christmas. It's a Christmas release,
right? Of course, it's
this Christmas. Heads are gonna roll.
Yeah. Now, from what I've seen, the preview looks awesome. It looks like it has nothing to do with the story. There are 47 guys, and they're out for revenge. Other than that, there are like random demons flying around, fighting them. It's a fantasy story more than anything. So the movie is, I don't know, don't expect it to be the story, because it's not. But take it for its own thing. And again, even the story itself, history, not history, who cares? It's a cool legend.
Do you have a favorite kung fu movie?
Process doesn't kill him, wounds him. For this, he's immediately given a suicide notice, meaning, out of respect for your rank, you're going to be allowed to take your own life as opposed to being executed, but you're done. Your family is ruined. Your estate will be confiscated. And our tale begins at least in 1702, where Lord Asano Nagakori... No, sorry, I fucked up the name right away. Asano Naganori gets invited to the imperial court. And one of the problems is that he's supposed to host, along with another guy, they are supposed to host this reception, do this whole thing. There's one of the shogun's official, this guy by the name of Kira Yoshinaka, demands bribe to instruct Asano as well as another guy in proper court etiquette, him, and to eventually trying to get him to draw his sword into the shogun's palace, because if you draw a weapon inside the palace, that's a death penalty offense right away. Eventually, he succeeds. Asano loses it and pulls out a dagger, wounds Kira on how to handle the preparation for this ceremony that they are going to have with high officials and everything else. Asano either refuses to give the money, or other versions of the tale say that the gifts that he gives don't satisfy Kira. And so Kira kept provoking